5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy, and welcome to the British and Irish Military Records Study Group. We've got some great things planned. I just love getting in the green room, figuring out with our course coordinator what it is we'll be talking about today, and I think it's the Boer War. This is Claire V. Brisson-Banks' page over at ICAP-Gen, the International Commission for the Accreditation of Professional Genealogists. And if you read her bio here, and underneath it, there are links to all sorts of things like her, she is tech support for Ancestry Quest, but I want to take you to her Budding Genealogist blog. And if Cousin Russ will share that link with you, that would be great. So periodically she'll make a post. The most recent one's about the Google News archive. There's another post about Ireland genealogy and a good website, things like that. So you're going to want to go check these things out. Here's a discussion in May from about her experiences using FindMyPast, which is pretty good for British research. A lot of records there. And of course our topic is British and Irish research. Just one thing I'd like to bring to your attention. It seems that in all of our Hangouts lately, people have been asking, where are the archived recordings? You know, where are the recordings? And people remember, Cousin Russ, that before January 1st, everything was archived either on Google+, which only 2,700 people moved to that platform with us, or on YouTube. Well, now that we've got this unified chat where it's indelibly connected with our Hangout, we created a different archives. Yeah, you can still watch it on YouTube. You'll still find the link to it over in Dear Myrtle's Google Plus group. But the archives is right here at hangouts.dearmyrtle.com. Now, this is where you go to register, as you all have done for this Hangout, but the archives for the 2016 things are here. So there's British and military, or British and Irish military, and you see the 14th of June is already there. If you had clicked there before this Hangout started, it would have registered. It actually ends up in two places for you. But that's where all of our Hangouts are archived. Now, the things for pre-2016, if you click, you'll get the link. It takes you to a page that has everything we did and where they are linked over on my YouTube channel. We've got over 500 of these Hangouts, Russ. Over 500. I can't believe it.
I can't even count that high.
I know. Luckily, they automatically count it for us. So, Claire, welcome today. You wanted to talk to us about the Boer War, and you've given us a great link here.
Yeah, I thought we could start off with the History channels to introduce the subject matter so that people would be aware of it. It's right before, really, it's before the World War I, and actually a lot of the records, some of the record sets, the individuals who fought in the Boer War are also part of the World War I records. But we're just going to concentrate on the Boer War today because I noticed that we seem to, by the time we look at all the different available records and resources, that just about takes us with our time period. And so I thought that would be good to cover that today. And the History Channel did a very good job on that, and I actually was really surprised to find there's all these different movies. Let me just send that link to you of just a regular Google search of all the different movies that have been written or been done about that particular war. And I thought that was really, I never knew that. Never realized that Breaker Morant was part of that. Who figures,
you know, I think we were busy with the Philippine insurrection at that time. So in our U.S. history classes, which is what I grew up learning in high school and in junior high school and all that, they're focusing on what we were doing there. If I had grown up in the British Isles, I'd be more aware of what the British military was doing in this time period. But thank you for that link, and Cousin Russ will share it with everybody in the community.
Wonderful.
we've got this worksheet. It's a Google Drive sheet, equivalent to having something like Microsoft Excel. And so you have done something different this week. You've made a little designation that if we're going to be, if we're going to be talking about something, you've put an X by it because these are the ones we're planning to talk about today and that you've added to our list. Now I got to zoom way in. And I may ask you for author rights here, not that I'm going to actually add anything to it, but I could, I can't zoom in so they can see it as well, and I want to. Which do you want to go to first? National Archives things
Yeah, the
or
National,
online?
yeah,
Okay.
the National Archive things first, and
Mhm.
because and then of course FindMyPast after that, because those two kind of work together, and they're the main people behind the a lot of the records. But as you see, this takes us right to the wonderful guides.
All right. Now we previously looked at this. We look at this every week because the National Archives has the War Office records. And here's this thing that I like where they tell us some of these records can be viewed online. Okay, and this is part of the hundreds of research guides they've got available. They know
Oh,
their
there's
stuff.
They know their stuff, and what I like is like Audrey would mention, they tell you right up front whether you can view them online or whether you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just a matter of know that you can scroll down, and then it says in there, what records can I see?
Yeah, so there's various categories or record series, as they call them. Cabinet papers, general correspondence, and then they have records held elsewhere. So, and information with books about it, websites. There's that Guardian and the Times Archive. So that's
Right now,
interesting.
some of those you have to have a subscription to.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the Guardian and Observer one is usually you would go and see that at a library.
Mm-hmm.
They would have a subscription to that. The Times Archives, I think you can see some of it, but they do have some items there. But it does say to view archives, you have to pay. It does
Mm-hmm.
say that right there.
Well, and different websites have different revenue streams, so we get all that. That's good. All right, thank you. Let's go to the next thing.
Okay, so there's another one over where right on the end where it says, oh, see, that's because you've blown it up a little bit.
All right,
You're
well,
missing. Maybe I should put the X's on the other side.
yeah, that would help.
I'll do that next week. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I've only got the one X
right
on
here.
this page.
So you see it right to the right there. This one here, over to the right, over to the right.
That's the one I clicked on.
Oh, that's the one. Okay, so then we can slip into the let's see, online records. Online records. That's the one.
All right, and so the reason that this second Anglo-Boer War, that's the main thing that people think of when you say Boer War. There's actually two, and we mentioned that briefly last week. All right, I'm going to zoom in and so that people can see this better. So basically, we're looking for soldiers. This is an index of soldiers and nurses of the Queen in the Second Anglo-Boer War. And we'll point you to published sources online, most of which are online.
Correct.
All right, so you absolutely positively have to know a surname.
You have to know a surname. And so, I mean, we've been working with Audrey Collins. We've been working with Russ Worthington. We can probably put Chapman in there.
Okay.
One of the English lines, but any one of those will do.
Or
Even maybe, or maybe Joe or John Laws. Because we haven't. So you roll down, and there you have the information and where it comes from.
Okay, now you wouldn't know if you knew that your guy was in the Dragoons or the Hussars or the Royal Engineers. This might help you. I see that those are just initials, and then we move into first names. Okay. And then we've got people that are Australians, and they're part of the South Wales Mounted New South Wales. New South Wales is in Australia, isn't it? Is it a state?
Yes, it is. There's only a
Okay.
few states. And you also passed one that said New Zealand, and we will be bringing some of those in. There's a lot of different records from different places.
Okay.
So this is wonderful.
Which one would you like? Shall I just
Oh, no,
click
that's
one?
fine. You just click one. Yeah, just click one.
All right. Well, I want to get one that was overseas as opposed to domestic service.
Okay.
Let's go to the second aid. Oh, this is that ABW stands for Anglo-Boer
This,
or Anglo-Boer War, correct?
right. This is the website. This link. This actually, I have a direct link on there. So this actually shows you some of the Australian records that there's a gentleman that's actually doing this. It says on, what I'm amazed at is how much work he's put into this. If you look, you'll say it says that the site is intended as a search aid, not the main, not the definitive source. It's an index to documents that seem to relate to that person, very brief pieces of information. But the guy has been overwhelmed by the amount of information that he's found, and it's taken him longer than he expected.
Well, so he's talking to the reference or the code that he's referring to is this book, The Official Records of the Australian Military Contingents in the War, to the War in South Africa, and it was published in 1911. Wow. He's really worked very, very hard to explain what his codes are that are part of his index. So if you have an ancestor that you can identify using this website, and let's give that link. We started here with this.
Right. We're starting with the soldiers of the Queen in the Second Anglo-Boer War.
Okay. So that's where we are. Okay.
Right. And so you could see if there's something there for John Laws. I mean, that'd be interesting.
Okay, John, you're going to have to mute your video, and I know you're tired because you just flew from the west coast of the United States, and you're barely back home, and we appreciate you being here today. But you might want to mute your video. I keep worrying your head's going to crash on your keyboard there. We're glad to have you here, buddy. Okay, so now we're dealing with Canadian soldiers. I want to click on this, Library and Archive of Canada. Can I go here?
I think so. You can go wherever you want. You're the boss.
No, you're the boss.
You're the
but
boss.
This intrigues me that it says it's bad.
Yes. So some of the links I found are not. You might have to. I would take that and just type, because it's just a wrong link. They exist, but not that particular link. So I would type in Canadian soldiers in a Google search engine and get to the right one.
So what I think happens is websites like the Library and Archives of Canada, which we know is a valid website and reasonable. Russ, I think we're going to have to mute the video. Okay, thank you. I'll just go to Google and I'll do the same thing that anybody else would do, but we know this library is reasonable.
Oh, that's the archive. That's the main archives for Canada.
Yeah, it is, and I've got the wrong link here.
So if we want to hit the words instead of the link, and that's hard to do.
Yes, let me go find where I was. Okay, so we're going to copy, not copy the link.
Yep, just copy.
All right, other people would have the same trouble, so.
Oh, of course, and I think it's perfect that we do it this way, so they can see. So here you are, Call to Duty Canadian Nursing Sisters. There you go.
Okay, so let's just go look at this. Come on, there it is. Now I'll give you the real link, folks. This is for Canadian nurses. And it has, I love things like this that give you the historical background.
And see, all of the Canadian ones, you'll see that. They have pictures usually. They'll give you some historical background. It's fabulous.
Caregiving on the front, the experience during World War I. So as we move forward to World War I, this is still applicable. It's amazing to me, especially before World War II when penicillin came into a regular usage, how anybody survived any kind of a wound. It's just incredible to me. Okay, so thank you for that.
Okay, so now we can go back to that online records and click on the next one, which is
transport ships.
Yes, it's the it's the next one down. Underneath that is the Army Children Archive.
Oh, okay. I will go there.
Okay, I brought this up. I forgot to put the check mark there. I'm sorry. I
It's okay.
found this right towards the end of my searches, and I thought, you know, we don't think of the children that are involved, the children of the parents who are out fighting the war. And this
Hmm.
site intrigued me in that some of how they provided for them, the health care, their schooling. And so anybody that was a descendant of a soldier or someone fighting in the war, this might be a good site to mention. It says Chronicling the British Army Children's History. Thought it would be
Hmm.
worthwhile just mentioning it.
Hmm. And I love that. Thanks for adding that particular thing. I like to have a view or an understanding of what the people on the home front were dealing with.
Oh, I think so. And I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, sometimes their dads didn't make it home, and so
I
then
know.
we need to know what happened to them. So this has actually got a lot of information on it. So for anyone who is a descendant, so that's just an FYI.
Okay, so now we're back here.
Transport ships.
Okay, we'll get to the transport ships.
I'm so sorry.
And I was doing a lot of work previously with Microsoft Excel, and I'm getting used to the fact that though I want to click on the word transport ship, when I do, up pops this little dialog box, and that's where I click to go to the website. I'm getting better at it, Claire.
Oh, I know, but I until you pointed it out, I didn't know either, and I was wondering why I was having so much problems.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so now we're dealing with ships. These are the names of the ships.
Right, and sometimes that's helpful to find the records for that ship. There may be
Hmm.
somebody wrote a book about that ship. They were on the ship. There's different things. That's also the regiment. Sometimes you'll find regiments actually have websites online, and so therefore they put links in here to help people find information. But these are the various ships that were used during that particular war.
Okay, so Highland Light, that would be Scotland.
Yep, I would say so.
Okay, and some of
There's
these where there's not a link that the person who compiled this website is not aware of. They know that the ship sailed and that these are the units on it and the dates of sailing. Boy, that ship was very busy, going several times in that 2-year time period. So.
Yeah, so he's put whoever's behind this, they put in what they can.
Hmm.
What I thought was interesting is as sometimes they'll even add the arrival. If you look at that bottom one, slip over towards the right where it says the Durham Light Infantry. It tells you built in 1882 by Laird at Birkenhead for Conyard.
Okay. Okay, please feel free to copy this information. Okay. I had a little pop-up that said I can copy it, and we're trying to get Audrey in, it looks like. So Cunard Lines was well known for having big ships, bringing people to the United States, and so now we're seeing that they were anyway. It scuttled in 1904. Oh my heavens! So just a few years after this sailing, very interesting. Let's click and look here. Here's one for. Oh, there's still more.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
there's
I hit the bottom. I'm only up to the G's, is what you're saying.
oh yeah, they're all in alphabetical order. There's so many ships, but what is helpful is okay. So say you find an individual listed on a ship, and then you can come here to find out more about that ship, and you can find out. See, so this one here has got where they sailed to, what years, and
And commanding officers and okay, and what happened at Pretoria, etc. 7 officers and 13 non-commissioned officers and men were mentioned. Yes, so you're getting citations for that, and there are advertisements like for DNA tests and Amazon.com, but I don't really mind that, do I?
no. And if you
We're
look
getting
to the
information.
if right, and if you look to the left, it says our regiments in South America. There's a book right there.
Hmm.
So some of that may be coming. Some of the information may be coming from that. And
Yeah.
so if someone had a family member that was in there, they'd be interested in those kinds of things.
Welcome, Audrey Collins. I hope you had a
Hi.
good day at work today. She's going to
Yes.
load Business Hangouts. Use that green button on the side. She's working on getting in so that we can focus on her. Okay, so there's really a lot more information online about the Boer Wars than I ever could have imagined.
Right. Now the next one down under our list is the casualties. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at those.
So we're now at the War Forces Records website. Let me zoom in.
Yeah.
See what that looks like. Okay. All right. And she's there. Okay. So they're explaining that this is still that they've got both the First War and the Second Boer War. Okay. So good.
And there is a gap because the first one ended in 1881 and the second one didn't pick up till 1899.
Okay, got it.
So that's a fairly good gap.
All right, now apparently there are 22,000 soldiers, 35% from battle and 65% from disease. And isn't that comparable to what we experienced during the Civil War here, Russ? That the majority of the fatalities were from disease?
Yep.
Like,
that's about what I remember.
yeah, like measles or dysentery, things like that. All right, now let's look at this. At the time it became apparent there were serious public health problems because up to 40% of the recruits in Britain were unfit for military service. Let me zoom in even more. Well, now it's starting to degrade. Okay. 80% that presented or wanted to volunteer for service during the Boer Wars were physically unfit. And there were 78 Victoria Cross medals. Wow. So they have a monthly magazine, and you can search by name and unit. So let's take laws while we're at it. Poor John couldn't even.
Well, that's the first name.
Yeah, you're right. I just saw that. You know, Genealogy Bank does that to me too. They've got it backwards.
I know they've got it backwards.
Yeah, it's just me. I've been doing a lot of Genealogy Bank. So, all right. So now we're going to pick one, and we'll pick somebody. I think I saw Charles Laws from the third. Let me scroll over so you can see the hit list. Third Australian Commonwealth Horse, so cavalryman. I'm afraid to click here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think you have to actually register for an account with them.
But it's free. It's like when you go to FamilySearch.org. You have free access, but you just need to register. All right, so these are things that people will experience if they're going to do this kind of research.
Yep, they'll need to register for that site, and I think that if they want to follow through, they can do that with that record.
Okay, good.
Can I just say, it's not a free site. They've got a limited amount of information, but most of it, it's like any other commercial site. So you treat it like you would Ancestry or FindMyPast.
Okay, got it.
Got it.
All right, so now in our survey of other record groups, do we want this pre-World War I to 2008?
Yep, you want to go there, yep.
All right, so I'm going to click.
Because that's what this is the pre-World War I, yeah.
All right, boy, tiny lettering. That was at 100%.
I know. I don't do this. This is.
I hear you. Okay, so we've got these are casualty lists, and,
right?
With some background.
Right. There's some background, and this is the pre-war. So you can click on that pre-war casualty. I think that's what takes you there.
Mm-hmm.
Or there they are.
And so in the index, it's a series of surnames, and you have to figure out alphabetically where your surname for your ancestor would appear. So I'm going to click here, and there is the list. And it tells about whether they were killed in France, or the ship was lost, or they had illness, or they drowned. But I'm seeing things from World War I here. So
it does say pre, but so I mean, obviously how pre I don't know, but there is enough in there that covers some of the Boer War.
All you have to do is find an ancestor and some reference to their military service, so you can continue to do War Office records research. I wonder from what they compiled this. There's the Commonwealth War Graves Commission.
Right. Let's see.
Okay, there's a link
I
for
wonder if it
that.
tells us, I wonder if it tells us where they actually got the information from.
That would be good.
Oh, we picked on the pick on the one above it. Submarines, that's the one, because you picked on the
Oh, I might have.
you clicked on the wrong one there. It says pre-World War I, which is submarines. There we go.
I didn't even know we had submarines that early.
I
Now,
didn't know we
this is-
had them that early either. Now, if you scroll down, you'll see.
There's the time period, so it's after the Boer War.
Yeah, after 1909. But it does give you the depot, the illnesses, the same kind of information to tell you about, when it was,
Got it.
and what happened to that.
Okay, so there's a lot of exploring that we can do there. Okay. Are we getting any comments from anybody in the community, Cousin Russ?
Nope, we did not. We're good.
Okay. Of course we're good.
Well, you did cover the casualty list there, so you might want to, since you already did the casualty list, I think you just did that. Oh, there it is. There's the casualty list.
This is for Australia.
Okay.
Which I know you have a particular.
You skipped the one for Canada, but that's fine.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Okay, so this is alphabetical, and this is the war memorial for the particularly for the Boer War.
Right.
Okay, and what you're getting are information about commemorative days, commemorative medallions, about the various timelines of engagements and events where the Australians took part of that, and where they went, various contingents. There's a descendant database, a first-generation descendant honor roll. Actually go visit the battlefields virtually.
Right.
And reference to books.
There is a soldiers one, too. You can look at the soldiers.
Okay, contribute ancestor search.
No, at the top, go up above that. There's one.
Oh, the soldiers. Okay.
The soldiers is what they call it. This is where you bring in the soldiers.
Yeah, and here's a gal member of the Victorian nursing contingent. I seem to be caring about the nurses today. Yeah, sorry.
And I know the National Archives came out with something about the nurses, didn't they, Audrey?
Yeah, there was something recent. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have huge numbers of records. Where they do exist, they're very good. But I think we had. I'll just try and find it. We usually have a news story if it's something that was recently released. I'll see if I can find that for you.
Yeah, because I think
talk among yourselves while I'm doing that.
Yeah, I think it was It was recent. That's why I read the whole story. I thought it was quite interesting how they came out with those records. That was fabulous.
Wow, this lady's history is incredible. Because at one of the locations, she had no other medical assistance and was on her own, and she's a nurse.
Yep.
What a tribute to her.
Right, and no wonder they died of illnesses, of physical diseases and stuff, because they didn't have the supplies, they didn't have the number of people, the equipment.
Mm-hmm. Wow, and just from sheer exhaustion and terror as well. Okay, I skipped one, the Canadian folks, and I don't want to skip the Canadian folks.
No, we can't skip the Canadian folks.
All right. Let me zoom in just slightly. Oh, well, I guess not. We'll just get there from here. Cousin Russ, remind everybody how to download every week the updated version of this. Okay. Wow, what a beautiful website.
It is, and in this case here, they give you a little bit of information at the top, and you just have to actually click on the red link, which is the South African War.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes you to their section. And this is where the Library and Archives of Canada have been so wonderful in adding some background pictures, and they have the date. It says the database, the search screens, and stuff like that.
So they've got it narrowed down to 7,368 Canadians and 12 nursing sisters. Were the nurses principally nuns? Is that when they're saying nursing sisters?
Which is a good.
No, it would probably be just the rank of the nurse, the sisters.
Oh, okay. All
I mean,
right.
originally, I think it probably comes from the monastic origins, but there wouldn't be nuns because most nuns are Roman Catholic, and they're not. They don't feature greatly in the UK. So
Yeah, I hear you. Well, so see,
but nursing. You know, my sister-in-law is a nursing sister, and but because she's a nurse, not because she's a Catholic.
all right. So see, that's good that we had this discussion because here in the U.S., I'm not even thinking that way, and the use of that term. Now, you've got a document up. What is that, Audrey?
That's a Victoria Cross. Remember last week I said I would get you one.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't actually my man. I'll get him in a minute. But I got this one because it's a local hero, just to show you. This is the sort of thing you'd get. You could get it free from the London Gazette.
Yes.
This is one I downloaded from work today, and it's got the hand annotations there.
Wow,
so you've got notes about when there's about 4 men on here when they died, and then this one, most intriguingly, changed its name by deed poll. So all those hand annotations you wouldn't get on the London Gazette. So there is still value in getting the National Archives one, but always look at the London Gazette one first, and especially if you just wanted to have a look and get a flavour of them.
Okay, what is a reed poll or deed poll?
Deed poll. That's a way of changing your name. It's just a legal thing. It's called the deed poll because it's not.
Okay, we lost you. You might have sat on your inline mute button by mistake. Sometimes that happens.
Oh, I know. I've done that myself. I'm hoping that she can blow it up so we can read one of them at least. That would be helpful because it's extremely small, but I just think it's fabulous that we actually have it here in front of us. That's fabulous.
Well, it looks like it's a newspaper clipping that they put in a book or folio of some sort and are making the notations on each side.
And I mean, it says like on that bottom when it says died.
An English or a British thing.
Now you're back. You're back.
8 December 1950, I think it says. And Audrey, is there any way you could blow that up so we could read one of them? That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa, wow. That's wonderful. Oh, perfect.
I'll get you the local one because this is Corporal Burt. Because he's a local man. He didn't come from Chesham where I live, but after the war he moved here, and he lived in Chesham for the rest of his life. Ran a pub here, and there's a newly created little street that's just been named after him.
Oh wow!
He put his foot on the fuse and pulled it out of the bomb and threw it over the parapet.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, and at any point that bomb could have gone off. That's incredible. Wow, what a fine man.
This is fabulous that you can read this and it tells exactly what they did.
And this is, and to get the Victoria Cross, which is the highest military gallantry award, you had to do something exceptional. And an awful lot of Victoria Crosses were posthumous because the sort of insanely crazy, brave things that these men did, an awful lot of them didn't survive. And the one which I'll try and get that for my man, who was now I'll unshare for a minute because you don't want to see me noodling about on here. But I will find the one for my man who is a very distant relation, and he won his VC in the Boer War, so it's kind of topical.
Yes,
so if I can get hold of him.
Okay, well, we'll keep talking, and when you find it, let us know.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous.
You know, we've got some feedback. Kathleen is right, isn't she, Russ?
Yes, she is. What a great record.
How incredible, because that's not online for us, and we only have it because she made that copy for us when she was at work today at the National Archives. Okay, I'm going to pull up another link, and I think I'm going to do it this way because it's impossibly hard for y'all to see the text on that Google Sheet. Shall we go to the Ancestry page?
No, because there was still some more in that other one. There's two more. There's only 2 more links. Or one more. Well, really, one more. There's the Light Horse Association because you already did the other, and then we can slip over to FindMyPast, I think.
Okay, that's much nicer. Ooh, wow, that's pretty cool.
this is a really nice, I thought this was a nice website. They really did a good job on this particular website. And what I thought was interesting is that if you look on here, it tells you it's a nonprofit organization. They want to make sure that people don't forget. Now, if you look to the left, it says resources, and it actually has some military stories for the Boer War on the left-hand side.
Oh, yeah, let me click.
Because, you know, it's all about that story that we don't really have a lot, but this particular website did actually do that, and it talks about particularly, there's only 4 things, but it brings in where the movie Breaker Morant comes in from, horses in the Boer War, small arms.
So if you knew your guy was an infantryman, he'd be carrying small arms as opposed to what we refer to as a cavalryman here.
Correct.
Wow. And the send-off from what the soldiers heard.
Yeah, that was from Queensland. So it says the send-off from Winton, Queensland. And so when you click that link, it actually gives you an extract. It tells you exactly what was going on.
Yes.
And so, that's actually the military units themselves.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's okay.
And then they have some about famous battles. Let's go to the Boer War.
Right. So go to the Boer War again. Yeah. And those are the 2 famous ones. And click on one so people can see.
Okay. So there's a history of that particular battle and where people were and where the camps were, and 1,500 men, and there was something about being 122 miles away and where the garrisons were posted along the river, etc. I guess that's the colonel in charge, second in command.
Yep.
Okay.
And so they give you enough of a history so that it helps the descendants understand what their ancestors were going through at this time.
Okay, and so I guess the concept of a Red Cross flag being hoisted during the siege meant that in this spot it's a hospital, and I don't know how respectful the enemies are, but yes, okay. Yeah.
Sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't.
Yeah.
It just depends on who was fighting who. But what I thought is there's enough information in there that it brings in different people and all of the different stuff about that particular, the acts of bravery that they did and stuff.
I remember this General Smuts. I would have changed my name. I would have done the deed law thing. Whatever it was. Okay. So now Audrey has, we're back to the Victoria Cross, and she's zoomed in.
Yay!
So this is the fellow from, what have we got here?
He's a very, very, very distant relative, but because he won the VC, as far as I'm concerned, he's cousin William.
Yeah.
Our common ancestor was born in about 1730.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I think I'm something like 4th cousin twice removed or something. Anyway, this is he was a captain when he won his VC, and you've got the same as the other ones. You've got the description of what he did and the date, and there's quite a lot of hand annotation, which you get on some of them. It says who it was presented by, and what I like in this one is, if you can see the writing there, it says presented by Lord Kitchener in the field. It was actually in South Africa.
Oh, my.
So it wasn't like going to the palace afterwards. Oh. This was actually in the field. The medals were sent out to South Africa, and it's quite a lengthy description. He and another captain and 3 men went out. They were retrieving. It was a field gun that had been stuck in the mud. So you think, well, they weren't saving somebody's life, but if that field gun had gone into the enemy's hands, it could have been turned around and used on them. So
yes, so a field gun is like a cannon of some sort.
Yeah, yes, it's a big artillery piece.
Yes, okay.
So he was very brave, and he actually served in, well, he appears in 3 conflicts because he was a professional soldier. He was a captain by this time, and he got his VC in South Africa. When the First World War broke out, he was still serving. I mean, he was at the upper age limit, but he was still serving. By this time, he was a colonel. And he was, in August 1914, his regiment, the Gordon Highlanders, they were one of the first out there, and he almost immediately got captured. And we've got a whole file on him as a prisoner of war. And he was eventually, his health wasn't great, and he was exchanged and came back to the UK. And the poor man also appears in Second World War records because I don't know if you can see one of the things here, the little hand annotation, died 10th of March 1941. Well, detail of that, he is on the Commonwealth War Graves website because he was a civilian casualty of the Second World War. He was badly injured when a bomb fell on or near his house, so he died of his injuries. So he's on the Second World War casualty list, but he served in 2 others and won the VC in one of them and was a prisoner in another. So he saw a lot of action.
Let me ask you about the makeup of this book. It looks like they've cut things from the paper and pasted them in this book.
Yes, that's pretty much what it was. The printed thing that you'll see there, if you look in the London Gazette, that's exactly what you'll see. But the book, which is, it is a literal cut and paste thing, you can see the pages are a little bit crumpled because of the glue. And then this was annotated over the years, up to and including dates of death and things like the man who changed his name by deed poll. So you do get more. The free stuff from the London Gazette is fantastically good value for money. But if you are fortunate enough to find somebody of interest who won the VC, it's worth paying to download the National Archives one as well, because you'll get some of these extra details. But to be honest, the VC winners, they are very, very well recorded. So there are lots of work. They're all over the place. They're all on Wikipedia and all sorts of other places. So you can find out a lot about these amazing.
But this is the original, and then with these follow-up annotations. And this is at the National Archives because it was part of a War Office record group?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, it's a War Office record. It's WO98 is the series that these are all in.
Yes.
It's probably it's usually somewhere, right there it is, right at the bottom of the document.
Yes,
the reference. So WO98-8, this one.
Okay, well, thank you for bringing that in, because we would have no hope of seeing this. So
in order to find one of these, what would be the first place that you would look?
Well, to be honest, for something like the Victoria Cross, a little Google search should probably do it for you, or Wikipedia, the really, really open source things. But you can, probably the easiest way is to go onto the link on the National Archives website.
Yeah, let me get that link.
And do the search that we were looking. I think we were looking at that last week, because we got to the stage where you couldn't download it because you'd have had to pay. It's worth doing the search there to find the name and the date. But then once you're armed with that, you can go and look at the London Gazette and just get the basic printed information.
So and that would then tell you if you see that there might be a record like the one we're looking at right now.
Oh yes, there will be a record like this, but you can see the printed bit free on the London Gazette. And if you wanted to look at the whole thing, you download
the annotations. It would be awesome.
Oh yeah. But if you're just interested in looking at a few VCs just to see what sort of thing they are, I mean, look on the Gazette to start with because it's free. But if you're following one up, then you definitely want to look at the annotated ones.
So we do have the Gazette on our Google sheet that we've been working on, and I want to. I'm just in awe of this document. Thank you, Audrey, for bringing that to us. All right, I want to show you what happened on the Ancestry.com page when I click on something that is ancestry.co.uk. Oops, I guess after a while they figure out you really want to go to Ancestry.com. For a while, I had on my screen a pop-up window that said, you really want to go to the Ancestry.com website because it's nicer and bigger and better and blah, blah, blah. Well, and that's where I have a subscription. I don't really know what the difference is between the UK version and the US version, except that I guess The UK one doesn't have as many US databases. Is that a
Yeah.
fair assessment?
Yes, it's because you can subscribe, and a lot of people in the UK do. They subscribe to ancestry.co.uk, so you get pretty much the British stuff and some Irish stuff as well, and that's a much cheaper subscription than the worldwide one. Now I'm a sad case, so I've got worldwide everything.
Well, I know we do. We like that.
I
We
do
don't have it
too.
for everything, but yeah.
But I get the same as you if I go in through whichever portal I happen to go in through.
Okay.
If I'm in America, it says, don't you want to go to .com? No, I want to .co.uk because that's got all my settings. But
Yeah.
it
The way
doesn't
you
matter what portal you go in through, but you can have different levels of subscription. But you'll
Okay.
get there in the end. So long as you're subscribed to the bit you want, you'll get there. You just find your own way.
Okay, so this database is that we're looking at, and I happen to be looking at on the .com website, is from 81 volumes that died in World War I.
No. Look at the top.
But it says, that's related.
That's
collections.
related.
Okay,
So
let me find the part where there's the source information.
down the bottom.
Quiz, Russ. I'm losing it. Okay, so they're explaining what they know about it. This is the Second Boer War, and this is what you can expect to find. So this would be an example. South Africa Field Source Staff, 3rd Brigade, Major General. All right, let's go look at this. These are casualties. Now, when we say casualties, is that wounded and deceased or just deceased? We don't know.
Yeah, it depends because
Yeah.
I've seen it used in both senses. So
I have
just
too. So I
always,
wouldn't know.
always look at the small print.
Yeah, I'd have to look because you don't. I think it might take in both. We don't know.
Okay. All right. We know right now they're either wounded or prisoner, which is something I hadn't considered.
Oh, and I also got
Or
killed.
missing.
Missing and
Missing.
killed. Oh
Yes.
wow.
So you've got quite a bit. In other words, they weren't fit for duty the next day.
Right.
They weren't found on the daily report. Died, prisoner, died, wounded. So I'm really glad that I guess it wasn't that bad of a question.
No, but I would definitely take advantage and see what the records look like. I think that's fabulous. Look,
All
but
right.
look at they're all over the place.
Yep.
They're from Scotland, from England, everywhere.
Sherwood Foresters. I should
Yep.
go there. I have people from.
Sherwood Forest.
Yes, I do. Okay, so it's a compilation. It's an index, but it is not the image of records. It lets you know the unit, so you can go forward with your research.
Yep.
Okay, good.
So, and it tells you the source information below. I think you'd have to go to get the original copy. Does it not tell you that?
Well,
No, not really. I think you'd have to probably go back to the military. Let's see what it says.
well, I'm just saying what we're saying.
Yep.
I get it. We get this a lot. I was working on Indiana records yesterday and Iowa records. I actually did research. Had nothing to do with British and Irish military. But you're thankful for clues like this because at least I can copy and paste this and reference this indexed entry, which I do as an event, 21st February 1900 for this person.
Oh yeah.
In my genealogy database. And provided I already knew that he was from that area and that F.E. Collins meant something. This could be a clue to finding out more about this soldier and his service. Okay.
So
All
the other set of records from Ancestry says Second Boer War records. So
Okay, I'll bring it over.
all right.
Theoretically, possibly.
If you can do it, it'll let you open it up from the actual spreadsheet. There we go.
Okay, good. Yeah, I've moved that to the other screen because I think it's easier to see this and not have to deal with my tiny text there. So, okay. So let's see if any Worthington served.
Yeah.
And,
Let's see. I'm sure.
okay.
Okay.
So I love lately how you get these little pop-ups so that you know.
Yeah.
Lance Sergeant. Let's take that fellow. Lance Sergeant, C.
And
Worthington.
this may be just a transcript or what, we don't know. But
Yeah.
hopefully it lets us know where to go to get the, there it is. Go to
There's a link to the website.
Yeah. Oh, that's fabulous.
I love it. This
I
little
love that.
icon I talked with them about years ago when they were first going to start incorporating Find a Grave. And I said, you need to clearly explain, this isn't you, that's them. And the guys are like, well, we know that. I'm like, yeah, but look at it this way. If their website goes down, you're not going to get yelled at. But let's go there and see what there is about this. Okay, now there's an interim screen.
Yeah, which we
From
need.
Ancestry. Okay, we'll go ahead and open up the website. We're just thankful that they've got a link. And so this is the interesting. Apparently you do have to log in, and I have to type the name again.
Yeah.
For the surname. Okay? And I don't remember the initials, so we'll just go. All right. So they're giving us an ability to save the record or to actually buy to view the record. So this is one of those pay to view things.
Yep, it is.
And I'm not logging in, but I'm just having an experience for people so they get accustomed to the fact that with partnerships of late, Ancestry and FindMyPast and MyHeritage and FamilySearch and this website, etc., have partnerships so that if you're accustomed to using ancestry.co.uk or whatever, because of those partnerships, it helps us come into contact with these other websites that are doing incredibly good work. Okay, too far in.
Okay, so the last place that we might want to go before we close down, because we're just really close to the end of our time, we've got 9 minutes left, would be the FindMyPast link.
Yes. All right, I'm pulling it up, and as soon as it comes in, I'll drag it over.
Sounds like a good idea.
And by the way, yesterday I did a thing during Mondays with Mert, and about, okay, there we go. Anglo-Boer War records 1899 to 1902. I'm changing my thought. All right, so what are we looking at here?
This here, it says here, the unique database of more than 470 sources reveal the unit of your ancestor served with any medals, honors, or awards they won. It also has a completely revised casualty list. So Audrey would probably be familiar more with, because these are coming straight from England. But there you go. Look at that.
Yeah, that's what I like to see. It's not normal citations, but it's better than no citations, because you know where they derive the information. So this is okay.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're reliable sources. I mean, the one at the bottom is Kevin Asplin's Rolls. That's a 2-volume set. We have a very, very well thumbed copy behind our inquiry desk, and we don't have to use it very often. In fact, sometimes the person who comes up and wants to look at it is Kevin Asplin, because he comes in and does a lot of research with us. But that's a really, really good source, and the others, they're taken from reputable sources. So while they're secondary, or if almost tertiary, because it's a database compiled from secondary sources, they're still really, really useful clues. So provided you know that this has come from something compiled from something else, it's very, very good. For pre-First World War records, there's more on FindMyPast, because they've got the service records. Post 1913, Ancestry had more to start with, although even that's getting very blurred. There's a lot of duplication. Oh,
right,
you've got to
make a note of this. So pre-1913, FindMyPast is particularly strong for these military records. Post-1913, Ancestry is particularly strong, although lately things are starting to blur a little because of these partnerships.
Yeah, right. Well, it's because, if you remember what I said last week about we've got a set of records and somebody pays to have them, to digitize them and put them on their site, but then we can resell the images elsewhere, and so there's a lot of things in more than one place. The census is everywhere. The First World War service records, they were originally only on Ancestry. They're also on FindMyPast. The pre-First World War records are on FindMyPast, and Ancestry don't have them, but there are some earlier records where they both have them. They've both got some muster records.
Okay.
Not sure if there's an overlap. So there are some things that you'll find on both sites, in which case search them both, because they will differ. And there is some where you really need to go looking, that it might only be on Ancestry, or it might only be on FindMyPast.
I lost her, Russ. I can hear her, and I can see her in the film strip, but I can't see her to move the camera to her.
Oh.
Trust me, we value your input here. Because to me, I would have no understanding. Let me go back. I had to log in to my account. I would have no understanding of from what sources this record set was compiled. And so, and that's because I'm learning. And so these names, Kevin Asplin doesn't jump out at me, or Winifred Scott, or any of those don't mean anything to me, only because I'm learning about this.
Well, I know Kevin Asplin because I know him. The others I don't know so well, but at least it's a start. And if all else fails, cut and paste it into your best friend, Mr. Google, and see what he says.
I hear you. Okay. All right. So this has been an interesting discussion about the Boer War, the Second Boer War in particular in South Africa, and we've done kind of a survey of some of the record groups, and most of them seem to be indices. I hardly ever have occasion to say it. I usually say indexes. Just a reminder before we go, Claire updates this every week. So if you want to have the latest, greatest version of this, what do we do, Cousin Russ? We go up to File and do
File, Download.
Yes.
And select your choice.
So on the option of download, and let me zoom in slightly so it'll be easier for you to see. Download gives us several options: Microsoft Excel, Open Document, PDF, etc. Now you're going to, it doesn't matter if it copies over the previous version. She's very up to date on this, and I can see that there are several of you now who are watching who are looking at this Google Sheet right now. I love that we figured out to do this a few years ago, Russ, and to share all the links we talk about in one big document, so that it will be easy for people to go to it again. It's also possible for you to just make a copy of it and put it in your own Google Drive, which is where you should keep it. That way, if your hard drive dies, it won't be so bad. Anything else before we go?
I think we're good. We're caught up with comments.
I do think we're caught up with comments. Audrey, thank you for being here today and showing us something that we would not normally be seeing. I know you went to effort to do that at work, and we appreciate
not
that.
a lot of effort. It may have taken me maybe as much as a minute and a half to do the whole thing.
Well, for us, it meant the world, because we don't get to see those kinds of records.
And the other thing is if you, once we've seen one and we've got somebody who might have one, it would be interesting to actually go find it, and that's why I asked you the steps to go through earlier, so we could actually figure out how to get to see if there's a document, then to be able to find the document.
Those annotations are priceless. They really are.
And I mean, there's just so much, and obviously I know mainly about the records that we've got, but we find ourselves almost chanting this at Inquirers: start with the research guides, because there's so much in there, and there's so many really useful links in there. In fact, there's one really fantastic link that we don't make enough of, which is that we have got on what we call digital microfilm, which is the free stuff you can download. We have got a fantastic set of the Army list we've got it quite well hidden. I will find it for you. I'll send Claire the link, because you can download whole volumes of the Army list as great big PDF files and go through them. And if you've seen the Army list, it's printed volumes. It's only for officers, but it's still really useful. And you see the printed volumes. Well, the set that we've got that's digitized, it's as far as I can tell, it was the War Office's own working set, because they printed a new one every year, but during the year, of course, there were lots of changes. So the set that we've got, it's twice as big, because between each pair of pages you've got a pair of blank pages, and that's got all the annotations and updates throughout the year.
Wow.
So it's got lots of scribbles and add-ins all over it. And whenever you see stuff about, you can get the army list here, there's a bit on Ancestry, there's a bit here, there's a bit there, there's a bit on the genealogist, and we got the free stuff. Hello, we're over here, we got the free stuff. And it's absolutely brilliant. So if you're interested in an army officer, or just interested in the army and like looking at stuff, it's a fantastic resource. So I'll get a link and send it to Claire so she can add it onto the Google Doc.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I think we're running out of time.
I know we are. Just before we go, I want to bring up the genealogist. I'll get the link for you. It's not the genealogist plural, it's the singular one. This is really strong for UK research.
It is.
Here you go, guys. There's the link. There, you're there because it's got the map of England and Wales. Okay, very interesting session today to learn more about record sets that are available. Part of this discussion of British and Irish military records has simply got to be a record survey component, where you're looking at various record sets that are available online that will lead you to documents that are offline. For instance, going to the Gazette to find the printed write-up about an ancestor's bravery for the Victoria Cross is phenomenal. But it's even more awesome, and I'm using hyperbole here purposefully, it's even more awesome to have that page, as Audrey has shown us today, where you see those annotations. Incredible amount of care and consideration. Cousin Russ, thank you for being here today and bringing in, we had to bring in one comment today, but your idea about what is the research process is important. And certainly in others of our study groups, we talk about research methodology, about moving from that index entry or that typed transcript entry, listing a unit in this case for an ancestor, to getting to more original documents. So it's all about getting the job done, isn't it?
Yep.
Thank you, Claire, for working on our worksheet and expanding it for us every week and guiding us in this. And thank you to Audrey. I'm just sending you virtual hugs, each one of you, and to all of you who participated in our hangout today. I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. There's nothing left to say but happy Hamley tree climbing. I came out funny. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. That's a wrap.